Hello everyone, this is Hendrix, back for another analysis video. I'm going to be talking about my custom slider sets for Hall of Fame difficulty on NBA 2K23. This is in CPU versus CPU game mode. Now really quick, if you are new here, kind of what I do here is I play the game on CPU versus CPU and I let the AI do all the work. I let the AI play the game, so I don't actually have any input in playing the game with my own controller. You may be returning after watching my analysis of the rookie difficulty video that I uploaded last month. And if that's you, welcome back. If you watched that video to the end, you would have learned that I made an amendment. I edited the video to version 2.0. And the reason I did that is because I kind of changed my tune on how I felt about rookie difficulty. There were some things I noticed once I got into playing more games and getting deeper into my association, deeper into my leagues. I encountered some erratic behavior and just some unrealistic and inconsistent results, mostly pointing around my 1992 eras that I started with the Chicago Bulls. In game 1 of that association, I had Michael Jordan driving the lane and 7'6" Manute Bol was just affecting all of his shots and blocking him. I think Manute Bol had like 11 blocks that game. It just kind of made me think about it, because I don't remember Manute Bol being that dominant in real life. Yeah, it forced me to rethink how I felt about the sliders on rookie difficulty. Now I'm sure it just requires an adjustment, probably with blocking and probably with shot challenges, but it still forced me to take a hard look at it. So kind of like how I did for the rookie video, I chose the LA Lakers, the 2002 LA Lakers. For this one, I chose the 1983 Philadelphia 76ers. And in case you haven't figured it out, I'm just in love with Eras mode. I feel like it's one of the best modes in sports gaming right now. I've watched a lot of games on Hall of Fame mode. I know what this game does well and what it doesn't do well. It does offensive flow really well, cuts, screens, makes really good passes. It also does defense pretty well too. The defense will get right up in your face. The players don't make a lot of mistakes on defense. They're generally in the right place at the right time at all times. And that can be a good thing and a bad thing depending on your perspective on how the gameplay should look. I fully expect that this game will look very good. This is the 1983 eras, right? It's all about inside play, pounding the ball on the inside with your big men. And the Philadelphia 76ers and the Houston Rockets have some of the best big men around for their time. Okay, so the tip-off happened, but we're going to have to pause it and get into the menus here. That annoying camera glitch kind of kicks in, so we got to fix the camera. Just go into the camera and select your broadcast camera and just back out of it. And then we're going to adjust the settings here and we're going to talk about the sliders. Okay, so you'll want to go into the association settings. I usually do this before I enter the game. I do this at the menu settings on the association side, but since I'm doing this in game, you might want to go to the game difficulty. Right now it's on Hall of Fame, but move it off of Hall of Fame just so that it resets all the defaults there. You can go through rookie, all the different settings there, land back on Hall of Fame, and then go down. You could change some of these things if you want. These are just customizable. These are my preferences. Era screen effects, I always go to off. I used to do them to on. I decided that VHS camera effect didn't really work for me anymore, but yeah, you can kind of fix these however you want. Of most importance though is to go to shot timing and then the free throw timing later down. You want to make sure that that says real player percentage, because remember this is CPU versus CPU and you don't have any input on this. So you want the players to play like they do in real life. You don't want any shot release penalties or anything to do with shot release timing to affect whether the shot's going to go in or not. You want this to be purely skill based on the part of the player, and the CPU will be executing that on the court for you. And just in case I wasn't clear about it, This is in the controller settings. Okay, well, we're not going to touch any more of those settings within the controller settings. Those are all just set to default. I mean, you could change some of those if you want to. If you have some preferences, you want to take a look at something, or if you want to see how something plays out, I just leave them be. So we can go ahead and do our gameplay slider settings. So you can go to the CPU/user sliders. Make sure the game style is Hall of Fame before you start adjusting. Inside shot success, we're going to leave that to 56. Close shot success, 56. As a matter of fact, we're going to leave these two the default settings for Hall of Fame, which is 56. With the exception of mid-range, we're going to bump that up to 57. 3-point success, we're going to bump that all the way up to 62. Just because they don't complete enough 3-point shots. Something about the way the defense close out. It's just there's a lot of penalty on the release, and they don't make enough threes. Of course, they don't attempt a lot of threes on this mode either, so it'll be hard to judge it. Anything that has to do with shooting or scoring, we're going to leave at 56, which is what Hall of Fame defaults to. Unlike rookie mode or some of the lower difficulties, you don't have to move these at all, with the exception of 3-point, as I just talked about. Shot coverage impact and shot timing impact. I think on lower difficulty modes, those are actually lower. These are pretty good at 50. It might even be possible to lower shot coverage impact, since that seems to be where this difficulty mode struggles a little bit. The shot coverage is pretty powerful. Ball security is at 100, and that's just because the defense is so strong. So I think that's one of the ways that NBA 2K deals with the ball coming loose from dribblers. That's always been an issue in years past. Probably for a decade it's been an issue. On the defensive tab, where it's got driving contact shot frequency and inside contact shot frequency, these are all going to be set to 50, and that's what makes Hall of Fame Hall of Fame. On lower difficulty modes, these will be varying a little bit. And the whole point is, how do you want the defense to react to drives to the basket and when they take off for their layups and for their dunks? Do you want them to get out on it early, or are you okay with them getting out on it late? And how do you want them to react to jump shots? Because there's the gather, and then there's the release. And the gather all starts with how they catch the ball and get set up into their jump shot motion. Do you want the defense to be all up in their grill instantly, or do you want them to be late? All these set to 50 is what makes a Hall of Fame Hall of Fame. You have to decide if you're okay with that level of defense in your gameplay. Steals, anything involving steals or turnovers, you're going to want to set to 50. Shot blocking, well, we're going to do 50 right now, because our hope is that the game balances out on other areas on offense so that the shot blockers don't dominate. On other modes of difficulty, the shot blocking can be a problem. You have to play with that to find the right balance, but Hall of Fame's got it pretty well down. It might be a problem on the jump shot game, but the inside play is correct. On the other hand, I will acknowledge that I haven't played enough games and don't have a large enough sample size to know if the field goal percentages are consistent and predictable throughout stretches. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Now we get the fouls. I know I'm a little late getting there, but we pretty much bump up the first several settings: over the bag, charging, blocking, reaching. Bump those up 5. So 55, 55, 55, 75. And then shooting foul, I just put it up to 99 because they never call enough fouls in this game. Loose ball foul and illegal screens, you don't want to bump those too much. 60 and 50. Definitely not a legal screen. That should be all good for all the settings. I don't think there's anything you have to touch. So then you'll go back out and you'll deal with the camera options if you haven't already. Make sure you have that on broadcast, and you don't have to select anything. Just be in the menu and then back out of it, and you'll get yourself set up. And hey, look at that. We're finally ready to look at gameplay. Let's get into it. And one of the first things you'll notice right off the bat is just how confident players move around and make their cuts. They're very sharp. Players seem to know where they're going on the floor. Down low at center, you have two of the best centers in the game at this time. That's a very tall Ralph Sampson going against Moses Malone, and you'll see a lot of good footwork and just a lot of good post play in this game. So down on one end, Ralph Sampson shoots a hook shot, misses it, but Moses Malone plays really good defense, and they're going down the other way, but we got the first basket of the game here. Looks like there was a mismatch. Moses Malone had the ball against probably a forward, and he overplayed the passing lane, and he gets an easy layup. But just as quick as that happened, the Rockets are already down on the other end. They call a play for Ralph Sampson, nice entry pass, and he scores on the nice little layup. That's just an overpowering move. And then really quickly, we're back on the other end. The entry pass is made into Moses Malone again. They are sure working the game plan. And he kind of turns to his left and shoots a left-handed hook shot. Swishes it. I probably would have gone the other direction with it faded away toward the baseline, but hey, who am I to complain? But that's just one of those 2K plays that happens. When you see it, you're just like, didn't look all that great. I would have gone the other way, but is Moses Malone a lefty? I'm not really sure. I'm trying to remember, but maybe it makes sense. But Moses Malone sure is a beast. He just makes the block on the other end. He doesn't follow up and get the rebound, though. Very tall Ralph Sampson gets the ball and just puts it back in. Just another example of how being tall just makes you overpowering in this game. But now you see, for my generation, Moses Malone was like the OG, straight out of high school NBA player. This was before Kobe and Kevin Garnett. It was pretty much, the assumption was you would go to college for at least probably 2 years, most likely 3. Moses Malone was doing that, though, going straight from high school, way back even before I was a fan. And quietly in this game, Ralph Sampson just dominating, just getting every rebound, blocks, scoring. He's been a beast so far. This game and this difficulty mode definitely caters to inside players. And there's Moses Malone again with a hell of a block. Man, I mean, that was a huge block on Ralph Sampson, man. I don't even know how he got up on that. Moses Malone, wow, not the biggest guy on the floor right now, but always finds ways to impact the ball game. One of the most dominant inside players of his era. And it looks like there was a little bit of a missed opportunity. Number 33, Robert Reed, set a back screen. Ralph Sampson cut to the goal, but didn't get the ball. And then the ball ends up going out to the point guard, Lavelle. Is that his name? He fires a long shot. I think it was end of shot clock situation, but he bricks that. But it makes no matter. Ralph Sampson grabs that offensive rebound and just flushes it right there in his face. But I do love how proficient players are in the screen game, knowing where to be and setting screens. Hall of Fame difficulty is very good at that. I do appreciate that. Of course, the defense is always very good too at being in the right place. And that's part of the problem. That's why shots don't go down sometimes. So while I was talking and evaluating, play resumes and Moses Malone gets the ball in the post and just kind of does a nice drop step. Gets fouled though, and he's going to go to the foul line for 2. So far in this game, with about 3 minutes gone, it's 8-4. Houston is dominating on the inside. Pretty good game developing here so far. I would like to see a little bit of more of an outside game developing here, but maybe that's just not the identity of these two teams. I know Dr. J can eat up though. Alright, so here we go. He brings the ball down and gets it into Ralph Sampson, and oh my goodness. So he posts up, he gets him, and then he kind of does a pivot spin or something underneath the basket, and then he comes back around again. That was after Moses Malone went 1 of 2 at the line, but Ralph Sampson's going to go himself to the line. Yeah, he kind of turns, and you'd think he'd use the basket as another defender and go opposite, but then he comes back around again. Interesting animation, but yeah, that's a pretty interesting and cool looking play. I didn't realize Ralph Sampson had those kind of skills and footwork around the basket. I guess I need to brush up on my Ralph Sampson knowledge. Watch some old highlights, learn more about him. Just looks like an old school, very skilled big man. Can do a little bit of everything. I didn't know he had those kind of skills. Most definitely from an older era. Okay, as we continue, the 76ers will walk it up. That's Dr. J. He's going to look to get into a half-court set. And looks like he's looking for some cutters. He finds Mo Cheeks breaking loose, and he shoots a jump shot mid-range, but he doesn't make it there. But nice little look and nice little release. The closeout just a little too strong on that. Now the Rockets going back the other way, and they're going to look to get into their offense. Nice little passing game going on, and they're going to look inside. Nice little entry into Sampson once again. He pivots around and shoots a hook. Doesn't make it. Great defense, but a very nice offensive set. And now we're going back the other way. Dr. J will get the ball under the basket, and he goes opposite, much like Sampson did a few minutes ago. Does his little Dr. J thing. He flips it up, uses the basket, using the rim as another defender, and nobody's going to stop that. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves that Dr. J, Julius Erving, was one of the premier scorers in this league. There was a period of time where nobody did it better than him. Alright, now the Rockets are moving fast. Once again, post up with Sampson, and he is just dominating. He gets the ball in perfect position, Moses Malone on his back, and he just pivots and scores. He's just now playing games on the inside. There's just nobody better. Can anybody guard him at this point in this game? Moses better step up his game, that's for sure. Okay, the shooting guard kind of gets a step, and he shoots a mid-range jumper and swishes it. That's nice. About time we saw a little bit of an outside game, even if it is just mid-range. Now, we'll see what the rest of the team will do, but that's typical of a Hall of Fame play. That's about the range that they'll score from. Anything beyond that, and it starts to be problematic for the AI. Okay, how exciting. Just as I asked Moses Malone to step up his game and play a little D, he did just that. He got the block, and now we're off and running the other way. And Moses Malone, goodness gracious, after many misses on the inside, he grabs the rebound and just flushes it. He had just had enough. He dunks it. I don't know if it's on Sampson's head. Maybe it was on Sampson's head, but well-deserved anyway. And then I guess Sampson decided that he was going to try to up his game a little bit. That's not a very good shot at all. He gets the ball in the post, but then he does what sometimes happens in 2K, is he just takes a pivot and ends up being like 18 feet away from the basket and shoots a fall-away jump shot. I'm not sure if that's really what the AI... I hope the AI doesn't consider that to be like an inside look. You know, you never know with computers and code. Now, going on the other end, the Rockets get a steal. That's nice. You always want to see some steals in these CPU versus CPU games. They don't happen a lot, but on Hall of Fame mode, they will happen. But they can't take advantage as they missed a jump shot, and now the 76ers are coming down the other way. And finally, Dr. J gets the ball in a position where he could take it to the basket. He moves to his right, gets a foul. They should be doing this almost every single time. I'm not sure why they want to run sets for other players. Get the ball to Dr. J. He's going to shoot two. If you happen to have watched my other slider analysis of NBA 2K23, you'll know that I'm a fanboy of this game mode called Eras. NBA Eras. 1983, 1992, 2002. It is just phenomenal. One of the best game modes in sports. In fact, every sports game should have this game mode. Some kind of callback mode where you can go back and relive different eras. Definitely Madden should explore this. I don't know how they would do it. It might be difficult for them financially to get all the licenses of players and their likenesses and everything else. But they definitely should try it. And I really hope that NBA 2K doesn't discontinue this mode, or maybe don't put any more love into it, because I'm expecting that they'll like flesh this out a little bit more and like add more players and more options. I'm really hoping they do. Give the fans what they want. That's what I always say. Okay, 5:51 left in the first quarter. That's about halfway left with what I want to cover here. So 13-13 score. pretty good sim of how things go. Would like to see some more free throws attempted, but that's right on point from what I would expect from this era. I hope you've been enjoying this deep dive into the slider analysis, watching the results play out on the court. I always enjoy these. This is some of the most fun I ever have with these games. Okay, play resumes. The ball is inbounded, and there's already a screen set, and you gotta move to the left and use that screen roll opportunity there. That's just a missed opportunity. They do get a shot off, not exactly a good one, but here we go. The ball is deflected on that entry pass, so of course you'd like to see that. That's good defense. But getting back to that screen roll opportunity, I don't know what happened there, if the AI just didn't execute properly or if something else happened, but that wasn't executed very well. It should have been a pretty decent screen roll opportunity, and they did execute it, just wasn't very good. Meanwhile, as play continues, Dr. J shoots a jumper. He misses, but Moses Malone, just showing his mettle down low, grabs the offensive rebound, puts it back up, gets fouled. He'll shoot 2 more. He seems to be about their main offense, doesn't he? And there's a good look at Robert Reed, the forward from the Houston Rockets. This game actually features 2 really good players from the 80s that I had no idea existed until about 5 years ago when I started doing deep dives into Larry Bird. And I thought I knew just about everything there was about the 80s and 90s NBA. Robert Reed. The other guy is Bobby Jones. Where the heck has that guy been hiding? Talk about a Hall of Fame level player that nobody's ever heard of. I guess Bobby Jones was the 6'9" small forward type, elite defender, just good all-around player. Probably some of the catalysts for their championship teams. Just really interesting. Never heard of him until about 5 years ago. Craig Elo, I see you. 6'7" guard, most famous for the shot. Pretty good defender at this time. Looks like he's taken on the job of guarding Dr. J. But Mo Cheeks drives the lane and finds Moses Malone, and he strolls to the goal. Just can't stop that guy. And I guess that wasn't Dr. J, some backup guard. Oh, and I see you, number 43, Randolph, with all his tattoos on his arms. Yeah, he doesn't really belong in the 83 eras. I guess I never got around to editing him out. And typically I'll try to do that if I'm playing these eras. I'll try to go on the roster before the game and try to edit players that don't belong, hairstyles that don't belong, tattoos. Wasn't really prominent back then. There's number 21, Owens, with his Patrick Mahomes haircut. Gotta get him out of there. Okay, the ball is put into play. Craig Elo ends up with it. He's going to dribble around. And he kind of does a step back, although kind of a quasi step back. Shoots a J, and it doesn't go in. You'd expect that to go down, Craig. I guess it wasn't really a step back. It was kind of a dribble to a spot and shoot. Still, I like those kind of plays in basketball. Those are some of my favorite shots. Get some good offense. And speaking of good offense, Moses Malone gets loose on the baseline, shoots a J, and that goes down. He's got everything working today. And here comes Craig Elo with the ball. He's going to work it down. Gets set up in their half-court offense. Looks like they're going to try to do a screen roll. Pretty well executed on screen, but they can't make anything happen of it. The defense is always going to be pretty tight. That's one of the things you have to deal with on Hall of Fame mode. Defense will be up, and it's difficult to get your offense flowing sometimes. And there we had a rare 3-point attempt. Craig Elo got exactly the look he wanted. There was enough space, but he just couldn't cash it in. But yeah, I'd like to see that. Every once in a while, you'll see 1983 in eras. They'll attempt a 3. I have played a few games on Hall of Fame difficulty in 1983 eras, and the percentage on the 3-pointer isn't really that good. Their percentage make isn't really that impressive, so I'm wondering if maybe 62 is too low of a rating for that. Maybe it needs to be more like 65. I'm not sure. But that will always remain my one major criticism of Hall of Fame mode difficulty. Just the lack of 3-point attempts, and of course the lack of makes. Definitely need to balance that out a little bit. Figure out how we can get some more attempts, Maybe not necessarily on 1983, but on other modes, but also try to balance the makes with it. Now here we almost missed it. There was a lot of action under the basket. Moses Malone got a post up, shot a hook shot, didn't make it. Mark Ivoroni got the rebound, didn't make it. Just lots going on there, but then they get it on a fast break, and fake fictional Randolph makes like a really athletic left-handed layup where he jumps far. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting play too, because that kind of highlights the differences in eras. Randolph is a created player, created by the AI to round out the rosters, and he's clearly more athletic than probably players are used to being in 1983. So yeah, kind of an interesting anomaly there. And now here we go, a little up tempo. They got a lot of backups in at this point in the game, but they're starting to pick up the pace and play some defense. There's a steal dunk, and yeah, they got things going on. They're trying to get things going in transition. It's probably about the only way they're going to score with this lineup. Pretty close game happening here. Scoring kind of slowed down a little bit, so we got 2:20 left in the game, and I'm not sure if we'll get that 25-point mark, which is usually the standard for a quarter. But pretty decent analysis. I might actually wrap up the analysis here with a little bit left in the first quarter, since it's mostly second stringers in the game. Not really a good way to evaluate from that, but yeah, we'll see how the next couple minutes plays out here. So there we go, a little half-court offense going on. Moses Malone does a kind of a half turn and I guess kind of a hook. That's just a beautiful shot. That's why he's one of the best on the inside. So making short work out of Hayes, 44 on the Rockets. So yeah, things are starting to crank up a little bit, but I think I'm going to wrap up and give you my conclusion here. So what do we like? We like the smooth animations, the moving with a sense of urgency, players running to their spots, looking like they have purpose, setting screens, players moving off of screens, handling the ball. Also on defense, they're very tight. They don't make a ton of mistakes, whether there be assignments or just anything else. They do close out very well. On offense, of course, the interior game is what wins the day for them. Players post up. Players are very good about recognizing where they're supposed to be in their play sets. When there's a post up, they call for the ball, and players tend to get it in there. On defense, they do a pretty good job of getting behind them and trying to limit the amount of action that can happen, and to do pretty well overall in stopping scoring from happening down there. It's not like rookie difficulty mode where scoring tends to almost always happen if the player has any kind of offensive skills whatsoever. It's just going in. Players also get to the foul line a lot more than they do on other difficulty modes. That could just be a function of their AI programming. Means get to the rim more, crash the basket, do all those things you expect from an era's game, play around the basket, and there's going to be a lot more physical contact, right? Drive to the lane, and if you're on defense, try to punish that player. What don't we like as much? Well, it almost all centers around the offensive game from the perimeter. It tends just to be that the defense is overpowering. It's hard to get good looks. If you get a screen and if you get a good look, you're probably going to make it. I'm not really sure how the AI handles the closeout situation and the penalty that happens when a defensive player jumps out at and tries to contest, but it seems to be a little overpowering. 3-point shots don't go down near as much. Now, I probably chose the worst eras to test this on. 1983 eras is probably the worst era to do a 3-point evaluation of the slider set. So that's my bad on that. I probably should have chose a modern day game, because they're gonna shoot a lot more threes. They're probably also gonna make a lot more threes too. So those are things I can probably do. When I do the slider analysis for NBA 2K24, I'll take that into consideration and I'll do that. I'll be much better about that. Let's take a look at some stats. Okay, so here we are. I ended the game and we are now in the menu. 76ers 33, Rockets 25 with about 7:53 left in the half. So I'll confess, I let the game run a little bit longer than what you saw in the video here. So that'll be represented in the stats. So looking at this, 76ers, you can see why they're up. 48% field goal shooting, 7-9 from the free throw line. Points in the paint, they did all right there. 6 assists, 7 offensive rebounds, 19 defensive rebounds. That's kind of where they won the game. No steals, but 3 blocks. Meanwhile, the Rockets, 33% shooting, only 1 for 1 from the foul line. That's in the first half. That's not going to get it done. They did have 5 steals, though, so they got after it on the perimeter on defense. 2 blocks, they did all right in the interior, too, but yeah, they definitely did some work down low. And Rockets, well, Sampson, that's probably where all that 33% comes from. His 17 points on 8 of 18 shooting, but yeah, they didn't really have a balanced attack, so they definitely had to work on some things. And that's not to say they wouldn't have put it together in the second half and figured some things out and gone on a run and maybe got that field goal percentage up and started the defense a little bit better and crashed the boards a little bit better. They definitely had time to make their adjustments. Unfortunately, I haven't played a lot of games on Hall of Fame difficulty. I played most of them on Rookie, but I probably should start a season and just start playing some games and see if once I get to game 15, 16, 17, how things look, how do the teams react and behave. But I'll be honest, I don't know who's seen my save fail video, but 2K's got a server glitch right now that's not causing season games to be saved, so it's really hard for me to want to put 3 hours in on playing a game and then risk it not saving at the end, so that's been a major drawback. I will be playing some league games here soon so I can put together some videos, probably on rookie mode, but I wholeheartedly hope that 2K knows about that glitch and it is trying to fix it, especially when it comes time for 2K24. I don't want to see that error anymore. I hope you all enjoyed this analysis of Hall of Fame mode on NBA 2K23 CPU versus CPU. This is Hendrix, signing off.